I'm going to show you guys how to make this adorable stripes and flowers baggy shirt. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see more tutorials and to see what else I have coming up. And check the description below for all things you might need, like quick stitch tutorials, materials that I use, all of that. So just look down below and let's get started. Start with a slip knot. And then we'll make a chain that will stretch from the tip of your shoulder and then all the way down to your hips as long as you want it to be. And once we have our chain to the length that we want it to be, we are going to add 3 more chains. And that's going to count as a double crochet. And then into the 3rd chain from our hook, we'll do a double crochet. So yarn over, insert, grab your yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we'll do that again into the next chain. And continue making double crochets all the way down until you get to the end of your chain. Once you get to the end of your chain, we'll do our last double crochet here, and then chain 3 and turn, and double crochet along this row as well. And after you finish this row, I'll meet you at the end before we do our last double crochet. So we're going to change colors for the next row. So I'll show you how to do that. Make a slip knot with the next color. And for our last double crochet, yarn over, insert, grab your yarn, pull it through, and then yarn over, pull through 2. Instead of completing the last step of your double crochet, put your new color on, and pull that slip knot through, and then just chain 3, tightening my strings a little bit here, and then turn. And we're not fastening off anywhere because we're gonna keep using the same colors, so we'll just let them hang, and then double crochet for the rest of this row. Alright, doing my last double crochet of this row, and then the next row we'll chain 1 and turn, and this row is just going to be a single crochet row. Insert, grab a yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through both loops on your hook. So continue single crochets all the way down. So for the next row, we're going to switch back to our primary color. So do your last single crochet, but instead of completing it by yarning over and pulling through both loops, this is where we're going to switch to our first color. So grab the hanging string there. You can tighten the other color a little bit, and then just grab it So yarn over and pull it through both loops, and then chain 3 and turn. And then we'll do double crochets all the way along this row. And after this row, we'll do one more row of double crochets of the same color. All right, so we did a total of 6 rows, and this is going to be what we repeat. So repeat this as many times as you need to make it reach from the base of your neck down to about 3 inches past your shoulder. And I'm going to repeat this twice, and then we'll do our decrease rows and end on a repeat of row 6, and then do one more double crochet row of the same color and just stop when you have 4 stitches left, and then you can mark this row before starting the decrease rows if you want. So I have 4 stitches left after doing another double crochet row, and now we're going to decrease. So yarn over, insert, grab your yarn, pull it through, and then yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, insert into the next stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, insert into the next stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, insert into the next stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through, and then yarn over, pull through 2. You should have 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all loops on your hook. And then chain 3 and turn, and then we're going to do the exact same thing but at the beginning of this row. So we're only decreasing on one side or one edge. And we're doing it on the edge that doesn't have the dangling strings. So yarn over, insert, grab your yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert into the next stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert into the next stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, insert into the next stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, should have 5 loops on your hook, and then yarn over, pull through all the loops on your hook, and then just double crochet all the way down for the rest of this row. And then the next row, we're going to switch to our secondary color. And here's some baby feet because they're cute. Why not? All right, doing my last double crochet of this row, where we're going to switch to our secondary color. So instead of completing our double crochet, we're going to yarn over and pull through both loops on our hook with our new color, just like we did before. And then chain 3 and turn. And then we'll double crochet all the way down until we have 4 stitches left, and then we'll decrease just like we did before. And it can be kind of tricky to see where the last stitch of the row is once you start decreasing because they're slanted. But I'm going to show you kind of like a little trick that's probably good to know anyway, or a tip, I guess, not a trick. But so from the last row, find that chain. Find the chain from the last row. There's the chain. And if you kind of pull it out a little bit, you can see the side V here, like the side of the V, I guess. And that is your last stitch right there. So I hope that helps. It's really a good tip regardless of how the end of the row looks, because sometimes it can just be so hard to tell. And we have 4 stitches left. So now we'll decrease just like we did. So yarn over, insert, grab a yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, insert into the next stitch, grab a yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert into the next stitch, grab a yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, insert into the last stitch, grab a yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, you should have 5 loops on your hook, and then yarn over, pull through all 5 loops, just like we did before. And our next row is a single crochet row, so it's going to be a bit different of a decrease. So chain 1 and turn, and we're only going to decrease over 2 stitches, and again it's going to be different because they're single crochets instead. So I'll show you how to do that. So it'll be over 2 stitches instead of 4. So insert into the first stitch there, grab a yarn, pull it through. Instead of completing your single crochet, we're just going to insert, grab a yarn, pull it through. You should have 3 loops on your hook, and then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And then just do single crochets all the way down for the rest of this row. And when we go do our last single crochet, this is where we're going to switch back to our primary color, just like we've been switching colors. So before you complete your single crochet, just grab the new color, pull it through, chain 3, and turn. And we will double crochet all the way down until we have 4 stitches left of this row. And I'm going to show you where the last stitches of this row is, because the last row was single crochet. So look at the top and you'll see V's, and it'll be the very last V you see. It'll be a little bit harder because there's not really a chain, because you only chained 1, but it'll be like a knot right before that last V. So you look at the top, there's a V, so that's your last stitch there. And it'll be right before what'll look like a knot that was created by the chain 1. And so you can see the V's here. And leave the last 4, and that's where we'll do our next decrease. So we have 4 stitches left, and just like we did on decreasing the other double crochet rows, we'll yarn over, insert, grab a yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, then yarn over, insert into the next stitch, grab a yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert into the next stitch, grab a yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, insert into the last stitch, and then grab a yarn, pull it through, and then yarn over, pull through 2. You should have 5 loops on your hook, and yarn over, pull through all those loops, and then chain 3 and turn, and we'll decrease at the beginning of this row. So just like we just did. So yarn over, insert, grab a yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert into the next stitch, grab a yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert into the next stitch, grab a yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, insert into the 4th stitch, grab a yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2. 5 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all the loops. And then we'll just double crochet all the way down to the end of this row. All right, so I just finished this last row, and now we're going to repeat the last 6 rows that we just did. So all the decrease rows that we just did, we're going to repeat once. So we'll do that one more time, what we just did, continuing to decrease and then I'll meet you back. All right, I finished my decrease rows here, and then now the next row is going to be the start of our increase rows. So do another row of double crochets, and I'll meet you back when there's one stitch left to work into. All right, now I have one stitch left to work into, and we're just going to do 4 double crochets into that last stitch. So all into one stitch, 4 double crochets. That simple. So that's how we're going to increase, just by doing multiple double crochets, and then chain 3 and turn. And then we'll do the same thing at the beginning of this row. So 4 double crochets into that very first stitch. Four. And this will end up mirroring our decreases. And then just double crochet all the way to the end of this row, and I'll meet you back at our last stitch where we will switch back to our secondary color. And with 1 double crochet left to do, we'll switch back to our secondary color. So instead of completing the last step of that double crochet, we'll grab the other color and pull it through both loops, and then chain 3 and turn and double crochet for this row all the way down, and then I'll meet you back when there's one left. And we'll increase into that last stitch by doing 4 double crochets into that last stitch of the round. 3, losing my yarn, 3 and 4. And 4. Ay. And then chain 1 and turn, and we're going to increase this single crochet row on this end, and to do that we're just going to do 2 single crochets into the first stitch. And then just do single crochets all the way to the end of this row. And then when you get to your last single crochet, we'll switch to the next color. And doing my last single crochet here, and instead of completing the last step of the single crochet, I'm gonna switch back to the primary color. Just like we've been doing, and then chain 3 and turn, and double crochet all the way along until there's 1 stitch left. And into the last stitch we'll do 4 double crochets. And 4 and chain 3 and turn, and then we'll do 4 double crochets into the first stitch. And then just do double crochets for the rest of this row. And now that I've finished that row, we're just going to repeat the last 6 rows. So all the increase rows that we just did, we're going to repeat that once. So do that whole thing one more time. And then I'll meet you back. And now that I've finished my increase rows, we need to just mirror the other side. So however many repeats that you did, so I did 3 total. I repeated it twice, making 3 total. So do that on the other side, so no more increases or decreases. And we'll just mirror that on the other side. You can also mark the first non-increased row just to make it easier to find later. Just like we did on the other side of the V-neck here. So. And once you've done your last row, go ahead and fasten off regularly, and then cut a tail off of your secondary color and give yourself a long enough tail to really like secure it when you weave it in. And the remaining tail we can weave in as we go. And repeat the same process to make the back panel, just make it a little bit longer than the front panel, so 3 to 5 inches longer. And once you've made your back panel, we will connect the front and the back panel. So find where the right side is. So if your tail is on the bottom left where your foundation chain is, on the side that your foundation chain is, that is the right side facing you. So we'll flip it because we want the right side facing out. And then lay your front panel on top and finding the side that your foundation chain is on. Tail at the bottom left hand corner will make it the right side facing you, which is what we want because we want it facing out. Now we'll pin the front and back panel together. So we'll start with a corner of where the shoulder is, and then we'll connect the rows right before the decrease or increase rows. We'll do that on both sides of the V-neck. And the other corner, pin the panels together, and then we're going to do the same for the armhole. So make the armhole really as big as you want it. You can always mark it or pin them together where you want it to be and then see how it fits. And we'll do that on the same amount on both sides. So keep the stitch count the same on both panels and on both sides. And now we're going to connect the panels with single crochets. Start with a slip knot, and we're going to technically do like a standing crochet. So start with the slip knot already on your hook, and then we'll start where our armhole is and insert into the marked stitch on each panel. grab your yarn, pull through everything except one, that slip knot, and then yarn over, pull through both loops. And so the back panel here is like the foundation chain side. So I find it's best to like insert under the X. So find like where the X is. It'll make sense if you kind of pull your stitches apart a little bit to see, but yeah, so that is how we're going to connect the panels, and we'll do that all the way down. Leaving like an inch or two of the front panel left. And once you've done your last connecting stitch, leaving an inch or two of the front panel, just chain one and cut to fasten off. And we'll repeat that on the other side in the same way, leaving an inch or two of the front panel. And once you're done, just fasten off like we did on the other side. And now we're going to connect the shoulders. So we're gonna do it in the same way, but because we're working with like the chains and double crochets, we'll do three into each double crochet or chain 3 side, and then into the single crochet, and we will do 1. So we'll start with a standing single crochet like we did before. So insert into the side, and we'll do 3, connecting each double crochet or chain 3. One, 2, 3, and then 1 into the single crochet, and just continue that all the way until you get to the other marked or pinned corner. And once you get to the corner, just chain 1 and cut to fasten off. And now we're going to connect the other shoulder in the same way. So we're going to connect the panels with single crochets, 3 into each double crochet side row and 1 into each single crochet side row. And then we're going to, once we're done with that, we'll flip our work inside out, which is going to end up making it right side out, really. And then we're going to start on the sleeves. So starting with a standing single crochet, so start with a slip knot already on your hook, insert somewhere around the armpit area, so starting with a standing single crochet, and we'll just single crochet all the way around. I'll meet you back once you finish working single crochets all the way around. And then slip stitch into that first single crochet that we made of this round. So that standing single crochet, make a slip stitch, and then chain 3, and we'll do a round of double crochets. And you can just work going the same direction. You don't have to turn and stuff. It's not necessary unless you want to, but I would just keep the same direction. So we'll just double crochet all the way around. And once you get to the end of this round, go ahead and slip stitch into the top of the chain that we made at the beginning. And then chain 3 and repeat that same thing. So do another round of double crochets. And you can continue that for as many rows as you want to make your sleeve as long as you want it to be. I just did the 2 double crochet rows, and then repeat the same thing on the other sleeve. Now we're going to extend our front and back panels, and we're going to clean up those strings there while we're at it. So starting on the back panel in the bottom corner, we'll start with a standing single crochet. So start with a slip knot already on your hook, and just make a single crochet like you normally would. Moving my strings out of the way here. Standing single crochet, and then we'll single crochet all the way across. So into the side of each double crochet row, we'll do 2 single crochets, and into each single crochet row end, we'll do 1 single crochet. So 2 into each double crochet row end. So around that post, or chain 3, whatever it is for that row. So 1 and then 2. So that was 1 row that we just worked into the side of. And then while you're at it, work around those strings to hide them. And then 1, 2, and then the next row was a single crochet row, so we'll just do 1. And just continue that same thing. So 2 into the next double crochet row end. And continue that all the way down. And once you get to the end, and once you've done your last single crochet, we'll chain 3 and turn. And now we're just going to do double crochets all the way along this row. And you can do as many rows as you want to make it the length that you want, and then repeat the same exact thing for the front panel, but do a bigger extension because that's where the flowers are going to go. And then I'll meet you back. So I've finished my extensions here, and for the front panel I did 11 double crochet rows, and the back panel I did just 2 double crochet rows, but you can do whatever you would like. And then now we're just going to clean up the edges. So instead of fastening off on your last double crochet, we're just going to turn and then do single crochets into each stitch. And coming to the end of the bottom here, doing my last single crochet along the bottom. Now we're going to work along the side here, and we'll do the same thing that we did before. So into the side of each double crochet row, we'll do 2 single crochets. But before doing that, we're going to chain 2 around the corner just to help the curvature of the corner, I guess. So we'll do 2 single crochets into each double crochet row end, just like we did previously. And then into that single crochet row that we did, just do 1 single crochet. And then now we're going to work into each stitch into this crevice, I guess, that we've made. And you can work around your tail if you want to just weave it in as you go. Saves you time later. So 1 single crochet into each stitch. And coming up into this V here, you can work around those strings. It kind of gets a little messy because they're a little bit in the way, but that's all right. It'll save us time later. And still just work a single crochet into each stitch there. And then work all the way down this side here. And we're coming up on those double crochet rows. Still doing my last single crochet into the stitch here. Okay, and then do 1 single crochet into the side of the single crochet row that we did. And then 2 single crochets into the side of each double crochet row. So just like we did on the other panel. And then chain 2. And then single crochet into each stitch all the way across. And now at the end here of the bottom, and did my last single crochet, and then we're going to chain 2 and then do the same thing into each side of each row. So 2 single crochets into each double crochet row end. And then 1 into this single crochet end, and then 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way in this little V a crevice here. And coming almost back around to the beginning, we're back at some double crochet rows, and we're just going to do the exact same thing that we have been doing on the side of each double crochet row. And then working my last single crochets here. To finish off, we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to do an invisible join. So cut your string, get your tapestry needle, and then we're going to do it into the second single crochet. So there's the first single crochet, and then this second single crochet that we made. And put your needle through both loops, bring your needle back, and then insert into the back loop of the stitch that your tail's coming out of. And then tighten and weave in your end to secure it. And we're really close to being done. We just got to do our flowers. So I'm going to show you how to make the flowers. So start with a slip knot and give yourself a long enough tail to be able to, we're going to tie it at the end. So chain 3, and then into that first chain that we made, double crochet. And then another double crochet. So 2 double crochets into that first chain that we made. Chain 2 and slip stitch into that first chain that we made. And then chain 2, double crochet into that first chain that we made. 1 more double crochet into that first chain that we made. And then chain 2 and slip stitch into that first chain that we made. So you just do that same thing all the way around, all working into that first chain that we made. So chain 2, 2 double crochets into that chain, chain 2, and slip stitch. So that's how you do each petal. And we're making 5 petals. And 1 more petal to make. So chain 2, 2 double crochets into that chain. Womp womp. And then chain 2 and slip stitch into that same chain, and then chain 1 and cut to fasten off. And give yourself a long enough tail, because we're going to tie the 2 tail ends together. It'll make sense once we do it. And I'm just kind of like pulling my tails through to one side here. And that's how you make the flowers. So I made 15 flowers total, but you can make as many as you would like. So make your flowers and then I'll meet you back. And once you've made all your flowers, lay them out where you want them. And I'll show you how we're going to secure them. Really easy. So we're just gonna pull, no. Once you have it where you want it to be, we're just going to pull each tail end around a post there. So bringing your hook in from the inside out, grab one tail end, pull it through, and then on the other side of that post there, grab the other tail end and pull it through. And then, super easy, now we're just going to tie our tail ends together. So I'm tying mine 3 times just to really secure it and try to tie it tight. So 3 knots here, and then just snip off the excess tail ends, and that's literally it. And just do that for each flower. And that is all, folks. We are finished. Go ahead and weave in any tail ends that you have left, if you have any left, and don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps me know what kind of tutorials and things you like, because then I can try to continue making videos that you guys are interested in. So yeah, like, share, comment, and check out my other videos. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.